So today's story that we're going to read is from the Tongva people. It's called Waa'aka, The Bird Who Fell in Love with the Sun, by Cindi Alvitre and illustrated by Carly Lake. And this story, like many others, has been passed on for many years to teach people lessons, and today I am going to share it with you. Sometimes books have a note about the person who wrote them in the back called an author's note, and I'm going to read this author's note today so that we can learn a little bit more about the person who wrote this story. But I'm going to read it like this so you don't get any spoilers. So about the author. Oh, by the way, the author is Cindi Alvitre, and the illustrations in this book are by Carly Lake. Cindi Alvitre is a mother and a grandmother, and she has been an educator and an art activist for over 3 decades. She is a descendant of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles and Orange County. So we know now that that is Tongva. She is Tongva. In 1985, she and Lorraine Sisquak co-founded Mother Earth Clan, a collective of Indian women who created a model for cultural and environmental education. In the late 1980s, she co-founded Tiat Society, sharing in the renewal of ancient maritime practices of the coastal and island Tongva. So a Tiat is a Tongva boat. It looks kind of like a canoe. It's really big and long. And if you've been to the Natural History Museum, maybe you've seen in our Becoming LA exhibit that we have the outline of a Tiat. And the Tiat Society, which I just read to you about, they're actually building us a Tiat. So maybe in a little bit, you can go to the Natural History Museum and see an actual Tiat. And we're going to see pictures of a Tiat here in this book. About this book. Waa'aka is a telling of a creation story from the Tongva, who have lived in Southern California for thousands of years. It takes place on the island of Pimu, just off the Southern California coast. So in case you didn't know, Pimu is Santa Catalina Island. So if you stand at the beach here in Los Angeles, and if you look out on a really clear day, sometimes you can see big hills coming out of the ocean. That's Santa Catalina Island. If you've ever been to Catalina, then you have been to the island of Pimu. Illustrator Carly Lake was inspired after hearing the narrative, and she created a series of watercolor images that together with the text resulted in this book. This telling includes a couple of words in the Tongva language. Those words are ihe, which means yes, shahat, which means willow. This book is partially inspired by my father, an ocean man and a skin diver. With memories embedded deep in the landscape of our beautiful California, he reminded me to pay attention to the details of nature and to share them. Carly and I lovingly dedicate this book to the island of Pimu and the night water chick. So we learned some Tongva words already, and I've actually taken a moment to write those words down, and if you want to write those words down, you can too. The first word we learned was ihe, and that means yes. So those two e's together, they make an eh sound, or like they, eh. Then we have shahat, and that X in the middle, it makes a ha sound. So shahat, and that means willow, and ihe means yes. And of course we have Temet. Now we haven't learned this one yet, but we're going to find out that Temet is the sun. Tongva words. But let's get started with this book. Alrighty. Waaaka was born when the earth was soft and the waters were new. It was the beginning of time. One day, Wiat, our creator, sat at the edge of the quiet, empty world. He felt very lonely. He thought, I need to fill this space. So we have this big blank canvas, and Wiat is going to create something. If you could make anything on a big blank canvas like this, what would you make? Let's see what Wiat makes. Wiat had many powers and could do many things. He took sand in his hand and he blew it in the 4 directions. The grains of sand touched the earth and they turned into leaves. Plants began to grow. So we have another one of those beautiful watercolor illustrations by Carly Lake. And we see green leaves and pink leaves. It looks like blue leaves. Have you ever grown plants? Maybe in a pot or maybe in your yard. The first plant was a giant tree full of acorns. Ihe, said Wiat, your name will be oak, and your fruit will feed all. So we see an oak leaf here, and we know that oak trees make acorns, and acorns are very, very important food to Native people all over California. They grind them down and they soak them in water, and then they could use them to make pancakes, or they can use them to make a soup. It's really tasty. It's food for everyone. The second was a smaller tree with leaves of gray and silver. Wiat named this tree White Sage. You will be medicine that all might use for good, Wiat said with respect. So here we see the white sage leaves. And maybe if you've been to the Natural History Museum's Nature Garden, you have seen that we have white sage there too. They have white, soft, fuzzy leaves, and you can rub them, and then you could smell your fingers, and they smell amazing. The third tree had branches that kissed the earth when the wind blew. This one we named Willow. Shahat will shelter all from cold, he said. And here dangling we see the willow tree. It's a really cool tree with long branches that dangle down. And you could even use it to build things like the willow hut at the Natural History Museum. And that is Shahat. Willow is Shahat. So we learned that word already, right? Shahat. The last plant, golden as the sun, brought beauty to the world. Wiat named it Island Poppy. Wiat watched with joy as his magic came alive. Maybe you've seen an island poppy before. They're beautiful flowers. They're actually the California state flower. They're really bright orange, and they're so nice and pretty, it almost looks like they glow when the sun hits them. But Wiat did more. He dipped his hand into the ocean and mixed red earth with the water. Then the winged ones came. Owl came first, for she saw in the dark when no one else could. Then came Kingfisher, who promised to be loyal to Wiat. Raven came next, dark and noble, and a good listener. Last was Waa'aka, sleek and beautiful. Her white feathers glowed like petals in sand, pearls in sand, and she became Wiat's favorite. Do you recognize any of these birds? Have you ever seen any living here in Los Angeles? I know I've definitely seen the owl with really big eyes that they could use to see in the dark. And I've definitely seen raven. These are very, very smart birds. And apparently they're good listeners. And of course right here we have Waa'aka. And that's who the book's named after, right? Waa'aka. Yet, even with these creations, the earth was still cold and dark. So Wiat asked Island Poppy for light. Island Poppy pulled a petal from her crown, and a spark of gold flashed in the dark. Wiat mixed the petal with a ball of soil. As he rolled it in his hand, it grew larger than all the other creations. Temet, the sun, was born. So Temet is the sun, right? And we see that there's all kinds of other creations too. I see a dragonfly. I see a bunny rabbit. I see a long, slithery snake. Down here, I see an owl. Looks like a burrowing owl to me. Temet shone the brightest of them all, and he was kind and caring to everyone. He and Waa'aka became friends. One day, Temet and Waa'aka went walking and found a pond. They sat at the edge. Temet gazed at Waa'aka. He was falling in love with her. But she didn't notice. She was too busy looking at herself. She thought, oh, how beautiful I am. More beautiful than anyone else. So we have Waa'aka looking at her reflection in the water. Have you ever looked in the water and seen your reflection? Each day, Waa'aka made Temet come to the water so she could admire her own beauty. Soon, she forgot about everyone else. She even refused to work. I can't go pick acorns, she'd say. I might dirty my beautiful white feathers. So she's not really being a team player, huh? Because acorns, we just learned, they're the food for everyone, and she doesn't want to pick them. She's worried she's going to dirty her feathers. The others saw these changes. They also saw a change in Temet. He was growing larger and rounder and hotter, so hot that the water dried up, and so did the leaves on the trees. Waaaka and Temet went to their council to talk about this problem, as this was the way it was done back then. If we don't do something, the council said to Temet, we'll all die from your heat. We have to send you up to the sky. Then you could still be with us, but you will not harm us. It made Temet sad to think about leaving, but he also felt for his brothers and sisters. I must travel to the heavens. But how? How would you send the sun into the sky? That's a good question. Owl, full of wisdom, said, let's weave a net out of fibers from the plants. Then we can gather round the net and toss Temet into the heavens. So Owl is picking plant fibers, and lots of native people all over the Americas use plant fibers to make nets so they can catch fish, or they use them to make rope, or they use them to make clothing, which is really, really cool. They use them to make baskets to hold water. Good idea, Owl. They all agreed, except for Waa'aka. She shouted, how can you take him from me? Without him near me, how will I be able to see my beauty? He is mine. The others cried out, Waa'aka, what has happened to you? You were once so beautiful, but your vanity has made you ugly. And Waa'aka said to Waa'aka, you must help your brothers and sisters, not hurt them. Temet will go. But Waa'aka did not want to give up Temet. So she made a secret plan. What do you think she's going to do? I wonder. The next day, everyone gathered by the water. They each held their part of the net they had woven, and they placed Temet in the center. Waa'aka pretended to help, but she would not let Temet go. She would hold on to him as he was tossed into the sky. Then, she thought, I will always be with him, and everyone will see me in his great light forever. That will show them. It's not very nice, Waa'aka. Waa'aka's not really being a team player, huh? They tossed Temet up, and he flew to one side of the sky and then came back down. Then they tried again, and this time Temet flew to the center of the sky before he fell back down to earth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like they're sending him up, and then he keeps falling down. The third time, they put more strength into it, heaving him high. He floated for a moment, then fell once more. They kept going, lifting with all their might, tossing Temet high above them. What nice colors on this page. As they lifted the net one last time, Waa'aka held on to Temet. They rose together. But as they entered the heavens, Temet grew, much larger than he had been on earth. It was far too hot for Waa'aka. She fell from the sky. Her beautiful white feathers burned black. The others looked up amazed. Not only did Temet stay in the sky, but the net that carried him turned into 1,000,000 stars that gave even more light and warmth. So they tossed him up to the sky. He stuck up there. And look, we see all kinds of stars now. And this was what used to be the net. And sometimes when you stare into the stars, you can start to see connections between them. And we might even see constellations like this. So here we see a whole bunch of constellations. People look into the sky and they see cool things. Maybe they see a fish. They can connect the dots and see a fish. Right up here, we have the island of Pimu. That's Santa Catalina Island. And right in the middle right here, this is a tiat. So this is a Tongva boat. And they would use these boats to sail up and down the California coast. They would go to the island of Pimu, Catalina Island, that's only 25 miles off the coast of Los Angeles. And they would trade and travel with these boats. This is called a tiat. Tiat. This is a cool page. They were pleased, but not with Waa'aka. Wiat turned to her and said, "Because you are selfish, you will not see the light of Temet. You will sleep by day, and only by night can you come out so that Grandmother Moon can watch over you." To this day, we can see the dark feathers of Waa'aka as she sits upon the waters at night, waiting for the light of Grandmother Moon so she may gaze upon herself. Yeah, so how do you think Waa'aka's feeling now? She looks a little different, huh? Yeah. And right here we have Grandmother Moon, and Waa'aka has to sleep during the day now and only come out at night. Do we know what that kind of animal is called? When they sleep during the day and at night they come out? Waa'aka is now nocturnal, right? She's awake at night and asleep during the day. This is the only light she will ever know. She is the black-crowned night heron. So there's Waa'aka now. She is nocturnal now. And check out that beautiful illustration by Carly Lake. So Carly Lake actually used watercolors to paint all these awesome pictures. And there's so many great pictures in this book. I'm a really big fan. In fact, I was so inspired by the night sky in Waa'aka that I actually used watercolors and I painted my own night sky. And if you wanted to, you can too. So I went out and I stared into the sky and I painted the colors I saw. I saw blacks and blues, and I saw a bunch of little tiny stars. And of course, I have Grandmother Moon up here. And if you wanted to, you can even put in your picture an image of a nocturnal animal. Maybe you want to draw Waa'aka the way she is. Oops, not there. Maybe you want to draw Waa'aka, the black-crowned night heron. Or maybe you want to draw a nighttime animal that you see outside your house, like an opossum or a raccoon or even a coyote. Whatever you draw, make sure it's inspired by nature because it's nice. Well, that's it for story time today. Thank you so much for joining me, folks. My name is Steven, and I'm a gallery interpreter at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County, and we'll see you next time.